Okay. What is this, the fourth one today? Yeah, I think so. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming in and welcome. And I felt like I needed to do this. I was really ready to retire for the night, and a few things happened, so I thought, well, I better get up and make sure that I cover this. Thank you, Kate, for letting me know it's 5 by 5. Okay, this is the story, okay? You all should know that the Democrats and the feminists and those who want to destroy your daughters and womanhood and take away the time of the life of women when they're most uh, capable of having children, they want to take that away from them or bring them in like some other idiot in the service did and said, well, let's put pregnant women into fighter jets. I'm telling you what, they're destroying everything. And you know, this country deserves it. The country deserves it. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of that here in a few minutes. Yeah, I can do it now. Um, so what happened was is the Democrats, of course, control all parts of government, and all parts of the government are doing the same thing. There is no checks and balances. Even the people that know that what they're doing is going to ruin their own families, they're going along party lines to accomplish it. This is evil, ladies and gentlemen, and I know you know that. So, it is now the NDAA, the new one, which is going to require women to register for the draft, is going to the Senate. And I've just sent out tonight on my Twitter just one word to those senators: no. I sent it to the Senate GOP, the Senate Democrats, and to my individual and several other senators. No. You know, we're, we're really destroying everything we ever stood for, and I know you know that. But when they start, they're murdering your children in a lot of ways, not just because of the organ business and the forced miscarriages. I'm using coded words here. They're doing that. They're trafficking them, and now they want to steal your daughters and put them. Do you want to? Why don't you go watch, just as an example, because it's a really pretty good rendition of Saving Private Ryan when they storm the beach, and ask yourself, do you really want your daughter in that? And they're going to say, well, we're not going to put them in combat. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as a front line anymore. So I would suggest, if you love your daughters, if you love your little baby girls and their beauty and their femininity, which the military will seek to destroy if they don't kill them in the process, stick them out of the front line or wherever they're going to be. Look at, do you remember Jessica Lynch? She was doing logistical support, and her whole what? I guess it was like a squad or a platoon got wiped out and she got injured. Several women in there. There, women have no business being in this. I don't care what Marsha Blackburn says or Tulsi Gabbard. They choose it. But to force women to do it, no, no, that's unacceptable. But I've known this was coming since 1977, and I've been warning about it because they want to destroy it, the women. Well, they want to destroy the men too. But this is how you really blur the lines. You'll say, well, what about Israel? What about Israel? Who gives a crap about what Israel does? I don't. They're destroying their people right now. They've been destroying their women for years. They don't put them. They don't put. They didn't used to put women in the combat units. I don't even want to go there. I'm not going to look to Israel for an example. They're disgusting. Yeah, and I said this in a video some time ago. They're going to turn your women into debased, abused creatures. The military is no place for women. But I'll tell you what, I can't stop it. But I'm sure as hell going to make sure people understand what they're allowing to happen. So if I were you, if you care at all about your little girls, you will get on the phone and on your email or go down to your senator's offices and you tell them in no uncertain terms, you're not getting my daughter. You'll have to kill me first. And I'll kill a few of you in the process. Same thing with them coming and putting these damn jabs in them. What is wrong? I see people hauling their kids over to these places back east. I suppose they're doing it in California too. Unbelievable. So at any rate, I'd suggest if you have any care about your daughters, your girlfriends, your wives, even, because I mean, whatever, I'd suggest you get on this right away. Right away. Okay. I see a lot of things going on right now, especially in the court system, where the mandates are supposedly getting turned back. OSHA's kind of backed off a little bit. And everybody's kind of happy. And I understand, but don't think it's going to stay there. They're locking people down all over the world. Do you see how it's all happening at once? They're all listening to a very evil single entity. They are. However you want to define it, that's what they're doing. And here in the States, you know, things are slowly cranking down. And even though they're being slowed down, apparently by the court system, don't trust that. Don't trust it. And I'll tell you why. Because the damage of saying these things need to be forced has already been done. People that wouldn't have done it felt social pressure, or they got it from their job or wherever else, and they've gone and done it. And now they're going to suffer consequences in the future from those things. Probably get taken off of YouTube for this. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to say it. So in other words, what I'm saying is, even if they totally stop the requirements right now, which the corporations won't do because a lot of them are on board anyway, and the states don't have enough guts to come out and say you can't even do that in the private corporations. There are a few that have, like Montana, but by and large they haven't. Utah just went to court. I think I mentioned it in a live stream earlier today, maybe yesterday, where the AG Reyes took it and they won. But there's still a lot of problems ahead. So what I'm saying is, don't bank that the courts are going to protect you in this. Number one, you're going to have to stand your own ground. And number two, the damage across the world has already been done. Even if they stopped those requirements today, enough people are now going to have a problem, as we've already started to see. Man, I wish I could say more, but it's just people rushing to get these dang additional ones because, you know, it's a war, ladies and gentlemen, and they're winning because we're bowing down to it. One of the reasons why I decided to come on tonight was because of two things that have happened in particular. The first, which I'll mention, has to do with what's in the description box below. There are two YouTube videos down there that I did about 2 years ago. And I had a request from, I think it's okay if I mention them on here because it's not the real name, at Horse Sense on Twitter. Said, you know, and this is him talking, hi Liza Jean. He says, or she, whoever it is, you were giving these YouTube video lectures back in August of 2019, and that was before all of this big stuff happened with, the bug. And now look where we are. Would you bring us up to date uh, based upon those uh, two videos? And I went and looked at them, and I'm going, holy cow, that's a lot of information. So I've gone back to Horse Sense and I said, look, could you give me some specifics about what maybe you'd like me to address? Because it's interesting what I said in those two videos. So they're in the description box below. Um, and if you have time, I'm not asking you that or telling you that you have to do this, of course, but if you have time to go back and look at those two videos, again, they're in the description box below. And if you have any ideas for those, maybe you could, if you have Twitter, you could DM me some ideas on what you'd like me to cover. And Horse Sense, if you're listening, of course, I already told you in a DM. Try to give me a little more definitive, you know, home in on some definitive topics that you want me to talk about. I suspect a lot of it will be about how these things change you, and of course, we're going to have to be careful how we talk about that. Okay, that's just the way it is. So at any rate, they're in the description box below if you'd like to look at them. And then I'll probably do a live stream on it. I probably won't record it. I think those were recorded. I'm pretty sure they were. But even if they weren't, what we'll do is we'll do a live stream and I'll try to answer the questions. But have some specific questions for me on those if you would, so I know where people are interested in going. Yes, monkeypox is out there. I mean, it's like I said, if you hear a criminal say they're going to kill somebody and then that person gets killed, the first person you go look for is the guy that said this is going to happen. Gates should be in cuffs right now. Fauci should be in cuffs right now. But our law enforcement agencies are all Marxist, communist, set to totally destroy us, which brings up the Rittenhouse deal. In my feeling on this, Rittenhouse went out there and did what most men would not do. Like we see today, we see very few men really standing up, even in the government. I mean, as much as Rand Paul and Ted Cruz do, they're still not standing up, not in the way they need to. A lot of women are. And I'm not going to name them here, but I'm just real. And it said that in Isaiah. It said, in those times a woman shall compass a man. Boy, isn't that the truth? A lot of Deborahs out there. And that's sad. I mean, it shows you where men are these days. They're emasculated. They're castrated. They're scaredy cat little soy boys. They ought to be kicking ass. Oh no, we can't hurt anybody's feelings. So in the Rittenhouse thing, these liberal leftist places that have allowed these things to happen, don't go out there and protect those people anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it. Let them burn. They asked for it, let them burn. Because if you stick your neck out for them, rather than for your own family and your own friends' necessities, immediate help, they're going to turn and rend you, just like they did Kyle Rittenhouse. And now the jury is being, and that's, obviously it's what's going on. It's not the evidence. They're looking at that crowd of dissenters outside there, those potential rioters, and they're thinking, oh man, I don't want them coming to my house. Let them come to your house, jurors, and have your AR-15 and blow their brains out. What is wrong with people? So you're going to ignore the facts of a case and the law. I shouldn't even be addressing the jurors like they say, somebody will come back and say, oh, Roy, you shouldn't have done that because you're influencing a jury. To hell with you. I'm going to speak my mind. And if jurors are going to worry about what's going to happen to them, rather than deciding something on the law and the facts and the evidence, because they're afraid, our system's done anyway. So come and get it. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed. Which brings up another point. Again, before I go there, don't go out and defend liberal communities anymore. If people are there that need that are being abused. You know, they're good Christian folks or good conservative folks or good, just decent people. Well, I think you better leave those areas. And I've had friends that have done that. They've left those types of areas because there's no helping them. And it's going to get everywhere. Don't kid yourself. And there'll be a time when you won't be able to run. But hopefully you'll have enough people around you of the same type that you're not going to be a Kyle Rittenhouse out there all by your damn self. This country is disgusting. And I know people say, oh, no, you got to love your country. You know, we've got good things. Where? Where? Which brings up the last thing I'll talk about, which kind of goes along with this. So I'm on Twitter tonight, and I get a message from a so-called Christian telling me he doesn't like my language. Well, you know what? Nobody told you you have to be here, asshole. Okay? If you don't like my language, you go back to your house. This is my house, and I'll do what I damn well please, as much as YouTube will let me. Okay? Because they'll throw me out for sure. Probably for the few things I've said tonight. I've explained before, I'm not a novice. I know what I'm talking about when I say I know what the name of God is, and God ain't it. And if I say that somebody's a goddamn criminal piece of crap, I'm going to say it. Now, if you really want me to use the name, you don't want me to do that. You don't want me to use the real name. So you might go, and I don't mean because I'll be using it in vain or committing a blasphemy. Oh, no, 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 no. Because it'll have real consequences. So you better be happy that when I get upset, rather than saying the real name, damn him, you better be damn sight happy that I say God damn him. You don't know anything if you get upset about that. Okay. No, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't have to stay home. And what I said tonight has nothing against him. He had every right to be out there helping people. And he was right to be armed to protect himself and others. And the circumstances as it ended up proved it. But as it stands now, if that jury doesn't back him up, let them all burn. Let them all burn. It's very similar to the statement that Jesus made, since people like me to talk about Jesus. And he said, right, don't throw your pearls before swine. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Because if you do that, they will turn and rend you. Which is exactly what they did. What they have done and what they will probably end up doing to Kyle Rittenhouse. So why throw your pearls out there? Save them for your loved ones, for those who care about you and you care about them personally. I mean, and I know he was called in. He was watching a certain retail establishment or something. I understand that, okay, but and it is a Second Amendment issue. He was totally right to do what he did. Okay, I have no problem with it. What I'm saying is he sacrificed himself. Which is kind of Christian-like, you know. People say, oh, you know, Jesus never picked up a sword. You know, he would never hurt anybody. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Boy, have they got you pacified if you think that. He talked about tying a millstone around people's necks and throwing them into the sea so they'll drown. He said to buy swords and sell your cloaks. Oh, no, he wouldn't hurt a fly. I'm really tired of this. Okay? That's another thing. I got a message, and the guy said, and he's right. It's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. He says, Roy, stop saying you're sick and tired, or you're going to get sick and tired. And he's right. I mean, I'm not a positive. I don't go along with that positive necessarily, not quite like that, but I understand what he's saying. So what I should say is I'm angry instead of saying sick and tired. I'm angry, because angry doesn't really mean, that's a little different. So I could say, I'm ticked off at people, or I'm angry, or whatever. I don't need to say I'm sick and tired, but I'll try to change that. So, all right. So anyway, for you, you self-righteous Bible thumpers out there, don't come and tell me what I can and can't say. If you don't like it, nobody's keeping you here. Okay? Nobody is keeping you here. And if you think you're doing me a favor by calling me to repentance, know what you're talking about first. And that's not one of them. Yeah, David and Goliath, and I just saw Jesse talking about David teaching his kids how to use the bow. That's right. That's right. So, at any rate, this is going to get bad. They do want to fight. They do. That's how Bolsheviks work. That's how Marxists work. They paint you into a corner where because you keep giving in, you keep giving in, keep giving in, and then you realize you're in front of the firing squad, and now you've got to fight back, and then they know they got you. That's where it's going, ladies and gentlemen. And they're going to sacrifice. They're sacrificing your babies. Now they're going to openly sacrifice your daughters. Sons are bad enough, but men are built for that. Women aren't. I mean, there are some women that can do it, but I can speak from experience. Most of them can't, and none of them should. These women that go into the service, and I'm sorry, Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm sorry, Marsha Blackburn, or any of you other women that have been in the service. I'm sorry to say that, what I'm going to right now. You may have thought that you were doing that for you. What you really did is you set this thing up to happen now. You encouraged these demons, these criminals, these traitors, these haters of womankind to now force your sisters into this situation. So you may have thought that you were doing something really great, but in the end, what you did was you betrayed your sisters, your daughters, your mothers, your siblings. All right. I blew a gasket tonight, didn't I? I did. It was one of those things where I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, I really ought to get up and talk about this NDAA, and they're wanting to draft our daughters. We are so bad. This nation is so bad. They lead you carefully down to hell. That's how the scriptures put it. They lead you carefully down to hell. How do they do it? Just like they're doing it. They don't throw the frog in boiling water. They just slowly increase the temperature. They keep doing the deceitful lies, betrayal, treason, criminal activities, stealing your freedom from you under some pretense of an emergency that they don't even have a right to proclaim. It's really bad. Yeah, no government right now would be better than any government. It needs to be destroyed totally, and it's going to be. Unfortunately, what's going to fill the vacuum isn't going to be good, and this was all planned from the 1850s. I told you, the 1850s they were saying that we'd have to watch for in these papers, you'll have to watch for the Chinese invading us. Oh, they're going to do it. And right now would be a perfect time. Right within the next couple of months, right when our military is at its weakest point. Because you're going to have little nammy-pammy, out there who, if you've seen the cartoon that they use for recruitment, little nammy-pammy out there who's going to run a Patriot battery. Yeah. Doesn't that make you feel real fuzzy and warm and happy? And most of them are going to be sick by that time that haven't gotten kicked out. They're going to be having all sorts of problems by then. And this thing is a software program. And you keep having to have updates, and people are running to do it. Boy, I'm going to get thrown off this time. I just can't believe how you see these people in Europe by the thousands, hundreds of thousands. What they ought to do, ought to go ahead and break through their government buildings and haul those assholes out, tar and feather them, and hang them from the closest lamppost. That's what they ought to do. And here, they know that can happen, but they're going about it real carefully. They're trying to suck us in. Again, I'm going to tell you, the damage from this has already been done, even if they stopped it right now. The damage has been done. There's going to be mass sickness. What are you saying here, Jesse? Yeah, I guess you're telling somebody. BP Earthwatch, Jesse says, pressure from certain states has made OSHA cave on pushing the Victor Alpha X today. There is light. It may take the Balkan effect. Yeah. Balkanization of the country, right, Jesse? A lot of other things. But what I'm saying is this. The damage has been done. The bomb already went off in the hull of the Maine. Right? It's already been done. It may take a while for it to sink, but it's the deadly blow has already been done. And then you have the main churches, Franklin Graham and the LDS presidency and the leadership there, the Mormon presidency, and of course the Catholic presidency, and all these other organized churches. A lot of them, a lot of good ones out there that are standing the ground, but a lot of them aren't. There's a scripture that deals with that. Do you know what it is? Hold on a second. And it also has to do with people who have taken oaths to God generally. You're not supposed to swear by heaven or by earth, because heaven is God's throne and the earth is his footstool. So just let your words be yea and nay. But regardless, you make an oath with God, you make a covenant with God, and then you go against it. Well, this is what's waiting for you. And this is for all those that are doing that too. If I get the right one here, I get different ones here. Let me see if I can here. Yeah. Read all of Isaiah 28. Let me just read a couple of verses on this so you know where I'm going. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim. You know who that is? That's us. Whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. I've read this all to you before. Let me come down a little bit. Actually, I'm going to go all the way down to here. Because he's talking about the men that ruled Jerusalem, okay? He's not just talking about in his time, he's talking in our time as well. And he doesn't mean just Jerusalem over here. He's talking, again, like I said before, cedars of Lebanon can mean a lot of things. It can mean bad things, it can mean good things, depending upon the circumstances. Most of the time, when you're talking about the cedars of Lebanon in for instance, doing temple work or something like that, they're talking about the priests. When they talk about the cedars of Lebanon and Canaan, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, those kinds of people, then they're bad. Okay, it just depends on the circumstance. But trees, cedars, people, right? Listen to this. So he's talking to the leaders of the flocks, the leaders of the churches, is what he's doing here. And churches, again, are communities of the faithful. Okay, that's what they are. Wherefore, hear the word of this is in Isaiah 28, starting at verse 14. Wherefore,
Hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Actually, that does apply to modern day Israel too, because they made a covenant with, what does it say here? I'm going to read it again. They have made a covenant with death, and with hell are at agreement. On what? On the GMIs that they forced on all their people. For what? For gain, for control, for power. And because of that, a desolating scourge is going to come on them. Unfortunately, starting on their people, which it already has. Let's read a little bit more. Verse 16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, for God, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. In other words, don't be going running trying to get to fulfill the requirements of these rulers who are so evil and have made a covenant with death and with hell are at agreement. Judgment also will I lay to the line, and righteousness to the plummet, and the hail shall sweep away the refuge of lies, and the water shall overflow the hiding place. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled. That's an interesting word, by the way. It's not quite Hebraic, but it's interesting. And your agreement with hell shall not stand when the overflowing scourge shall pass through. Then ye shall be trodden down by it. You will fall in the pit you dig for others. Okay, enough pontificating for the night. Thanks for bringing that up, Jesse. And I didn't tell anybody I was going to be on tonight. I wonder if Roosevelt made it on. Again, it was one of those things where I just jumped in here. Okay. And I've done a lot of this tonight or today. I've just said too much probably today, but a lot of things just irked me no end. So hopefully you enjoyed the little time in Suds. We spent a little time there. I showed you from the top of the First Sister, the Three Sisters passes there outside of Evanston on the way to Rock Springs. I found out a couple of my followers on Twitter know about that, actually lived in that same place. I don't think they live there now, but they knew what I was talking about. That was kind of nice. And so you got to see that in all the open space. They're lying to us, ladies and gentlemen. They lie to us all the time. And as I explained before, and which is going to be coming up in those two videos that you're going to see in the description box, the whole plan in the Garden of Eden was to force the seed from the realm onto humans. Miscegenation of a type, a really serious one. It really was that. That's exactly what happened, as I've explained in many of my videos. So they're just going to the next step now. They're using pharmakia to do it now, to deceive all the nations. And the rich men are doing it, and they're not repenting of their wrongdoings or of their murders or of their thefts. And Trump has helped them. I heard Glenn Beck say, well, Trump couldn't have possibly known. He just, his science advisors, he was paying attention to them. Glenn Beck's ignoring the fact that Trump knew about some of the stuff back at least by 2017, and certainly by September of 2019. And even if he didn't, as I made the point before, Glenn, he knows now. And if he doesn't, he's either a moron, stupid, ignorant fool, or he's complicit. And I think it's the second. I'm not giving Biden a pass. They're on the same team. They're just the left and right arms of the same body. Two mafiosos in two criminal organizations just vying for position, but for the same end result, to kill you and your family. Like I said, Bezos today. He wants what's left after all this, the few million that are left, to be up in space You know, can you imagine how wonderful that's going to be? And if you want to get down where there's fresh air and sunlight and dirt and trees and water, you're going to have to pay for it, just like you do now when you go to Yosemite or Yellowstone. That's what they envision this to be. But as I said today, the meek shall inherit the earth. This is our inheritance. You're not going to be off on some cloud somewhere playing a harp to God for eternity. If you make it through this, you inherit some portion of this to some degree. And I can't think of a better thing. I would rather be on a beach with my wife or up in the mountains in a cabin, even for eternity, doing little things, you know, having a good time, taking a walk in the woods, holding hands. You get the idea. You want heaven? That's heaven. Not strumming a harp on some cloud somewhere. That's called being idle. You don't worship God by being idle. You go out and you interact with your fellow human beings, especially your wife or your husband, that kind of thing. Oh, yeah. That's it. That's it. Okay, everybody, I'll let you go. I just had to get that out. Please, unless you, I mean, they're gonna get it anyway because they do what they damn well please back in D.C. They're a criminal cabal. But call your senators, walk into their office, send them emails, and tell them, no, you're not getting my daughter. You'll have to kill me first, and I'll take a few of you with me. That's how serious this has to get. And the same thing with these. Same thing. This is deadly assaults. This is deadly force being used. All right. What else can I say? I've been saying it for 40 years. Actually, longer than that. 44 years out here.